Everyone says life is a lesson to learn. I would say life is a lesson to learn only when you want to learn it. If I don't want to learn something, how can you make me learn that? How much advice do you take in a particular day? There are so many people who come and give us very fruitful advice in our lives. But are we ready? Is our mind ready to take that advice? Is the first thing that we need to ask. First of all, what thwarts us from taking good advice is ego. And that ego never leaves us till the end of our lives. So, how do we take advice? Whenever egoistic people take advice, it's just superficial, just to show that they are humble. That's the fact. And you need to differentiate these egoistically humble people, apparently humble people who are egoistic rather, from those who are really humble and really want to learn. If somebody really wants to learn something, the first thing is that the person will seek your advice and the person will put that advice into practice. If that is not done, then it is a superficial gesture of seeking advice. So please understand that if somebody is asking you, give me advice, you are giving advice and that advice is just left as it is and the person is doing what one wants to do, then that means that that advice was absolutely ridiculous. It was uncalled for. It was not required at all. It was redundant on your part to listen to that person and give advice. And there are so many times that we get frustrated with such people and we feel that, oh my God, why did I give this person advice? Why did I become a fool? You don't have to blame yourself. You have to blame the situation. At that particular point of time, your stars went against you and you came across people whom you thought needed your advice. But actually, they did not need your advice. It was just a superficial gesture of humility that was extended in order that you don't typify them as proud, as full of vanity. Vanity Pride. Thackeray has written this wonderful novel. Please read it. I don't want to digress from the subject, so I wouldn't talk about the novel. But yes, it's your own vanity that thwarts you from understanding what good people are saying. And on top of that, you don't even make an initiative to actually give a note of thanks or extend a gesture of courtesy towards that person who has given you at least that advice. If you don't want to put it into practice, at least just go and thank the person. These kinds of people are absolutely thankless people. They don't come and even tell you or acknowledge that your advice was really good, that it has the worthiness to be followed as an advice. They just remain indifferent. They come and seek your advice in the first place. When they don't find it compatible with their own comfort zones, they don't put it into practice, but they don't even come and acknowledge. There are certain people who put your advice into practice, but then it's useless because they don't come and acknowledge. See, acknowledging good advice is also important. If somebody has given you, please go and acknowledge that. Don't be so disgruntled. Don't be so indifferent. Because that other person needs to have that acknowledgement. He deserves to have that acknowledgement that he brought some change in your life. I dislike both kinds of people, and I am sure that you too. Because first of all, we don't want these kinds of people who are not obliged or who superficially make an obligation when they're actually not obliged. So, in short, the crux of the matter is, to cut this long story short, be with good people, be with genuine people, be with people who know what gratitude is, who can express gratitude, who are ready to learn, and they are not surrounded by wily, sly people who keep on telling them that they are great. Because if you're surrounded by these kinds of people who keep on flattering or your ego or engage in psychophancy, then you're never going to improve. See, all that we want is our own praise. And the moment we start getting that, we don't want anything else in life. The moment you start having sycophants around you, you will never listen to genuine people. I have met these people, so I'm telling you this. I never say something just out of the blue. I every time base my statements on my experiences in life. I've met both these kinds. One who are not obliged and one who make a show of obligation. And I would like to say that both these categories are dangerous. Both these categories put you into the jeopardy of, the former puts you in the jeopardy of actually uh, not being effective as a speaker, of believing that you're not effective as a speaker, sorry. And the second one puts you in the jeopardy of believing that there is no weightage in your statements, that whatever you're saying is absolutely in vain and it is irrelevant, and so the advice has not been sought after. But they also put you together when they give you a superficial obligation that it was perhaps relevant to someone else but not to me. And that is again a show of courtesy. Maybe whatever you have said was relevant to someone else. I do agree with you, but I think that I'm not in a position to, whatever. This is the kind of gesture. Sometimes they come and tell you openly, sometimes they give you gestures of these kinds. I just want to say is that stay away from sly people, folks. Stay away from people who give superficial adherence to your talk. I don't want 1,000 followers on my YouTube. I just want genuine followers who really feel that my lectures are helpful and they can help you to come out of difficult situations and difficult people. That is my only motto. I have met very, very difficult people and I don't want you to suffer by meeting difficult people. I have met such sly people who rob the soul out of you and you will not even be able to blame them. They are so nefarious. They do it in such a tacit manner, in such a subtle manner that you can't even do anything about it. Stay away from these kinds of wise, evil counselors is what my motto in life. And that's why I keep giving you advice, because it's my job to do that. I am a soft skills trainer and very proudly I'm saying that I help people to come out of these kinds of critical situations. When they meet very odd people, very bizarre people, people whom they don't understand, just not because they don't have the intelligence to understand, but because they are put in such situations where they get confused, deliberately put in such situations where they get confused. So when you meet somebody who is giving you a whole lot of obligations, don't get carried away. When you meet someone who is not at all obliged, don't feel inferior. Don't feel that your advice was not good enough. It's because the person is not in the position to learn. The person does not want to learn. You can take the horse to the pond, but you cannot make him drink water. So please try to be with. It's very difficult to deduce who is good and who is bad, and it's not at all recommended to stereotype people as good as bad in today's complex situations where human mind works in a very complex manner. In the yesteryears, in our grandfathers and grandmothers' years, it was still easier because human beings did not operate their minds in certain wrong directions. Now the theory of relativity has made everything so very dubious and so very complex. I wouldn't go into that. I believe in relativism, but I also believe that there are certain things which are good and which are bad, which we need to follow. Use your own mind to differentiate good from the bad. That's what I'm saying. And try to be in the company of sane individuals, not evil counselors who really wish the well of you and who really are good.